Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Glorious Life on Wheels. I have been wanting to do this video for such a long time. I have so many people who reach out to me who are just getting started or about to start in van life, and they ask me, well, what do you need to be comfortable in your van? What are the essentials? And I have been wanting for a long time to make a video sharing what I think are the 5 absolute essentials for me, for my comfort. Now, some people may be able to do without them. I think the first 3, though, I don't think anyone should do van life without the first 3. But, see if you agree with me and let me know in the comments what you think and what you think are essentials. Before getting started, I'd like to make a brief disclaimer. I'm not full-time in my van, but I spend an awful lot of time in it. Since I've had my van, I have been to Kansas, Missouri twice, Nebraska, Ohio, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas 5 times or so, Oregon about 5 times, New Mexico. Anyhow, I'm not going to go on and on, but you get the picture. I spend a lot of time in this van, so I think I'm equipped to talk about what's necessary to be comfortable in van life. The first thing, oh my goodness. For those of you who've been following me, you know that I've had my van for about 5 years now, and I didn't have it built out the first 2. What I slept on initially was pretty much the equivalent of a patio lounge chair with that webbing that goes across the bottom. And I'm going to tell you, I was miserable. I put a little pad on it, but I was still miserable. It sagged. My back hurt when I got up in the morning. It took me an hour to get going. Oh my gosh. So the first thing, this is an absolute essential. You have to have a comfortable sleeping arrangement. I don't care what it is, whether it's a bed, a custom-made bed, a cot that's comfortable, whatever, but it needs to be something that you can get a good night's sleep in, because number one, you're exhausted and you're tired and you're grumpy and you hurt, especially if you're my age, in the morning. So I'm going to show you what I sleep on. I went from the backyard patio lawn chair to a cot, and the cot was really a firm cot, and I was able to put a thicker pad on it with some foam, and for a while that worked. But when I eventually had my van built out, what I went to, as you will see, was this 6-inch foam, and this foam came from an auto upholstery shop, and it's very, very dense and it's thick. They cut it to size for me, and it works really perfectly. When I'm talking about your bed, of course I'm including the bedding, and what I have is a lightweight down comforter that I use for the summer and an extra little coverlet. But usually I'm in pretty moderate weather, so I don't need much. However, during the winter in quartzsite, it can get pretty chilly, so I add an additional thick down comforter, or I change out and use a different thick down comforter. And sometimes I'll have a thick sleeping bag on top, and sometimes if it's really cold, I'll even have a heated throw, and I'm perfectly comfortable that way. I have seen people who actually sleep on a thick sleeping bag with a blanket on top of that. Whatever works for you, but you just have to be comfortable and get a good night's sleep. The next thing that I discovered that I really needed in my van is a power system. Now, you may say, well, why do you need a power system? Well, I don't want to be out in the middle of nowhere and have something happen and not be able to call for help. And I need to have my phones charged, and I need to have my computer charged. Also, sometimes if it gets a little cool in the evening, I run a small heater. And when I take Cuddles with me, my dog, if it gets warm and I need to leave him in the van, I have a portable air conditioner that I need to run. And this will run that. Now, you may say, well, Carol, you've got a pretty robust electrical system run by solar in your van. The key there is run by solar. You know, the other day we had a whole day of rainy and overcast weather, and I was getting hardly any power in, but it was okay because I was at my home base. But if I had been somewhere else other than my home base, that could have been a problem. So this Vtoman is 1800 watts, and it takes care of everything. They were gracious enough to send this to me, and I'm really appreciative of it. So if I'm out somewhere, say in Quartzsite and out in BLM land or further out, and we have 5 days of rain, I don't need to worry about it. I'm set. I've got this, and this lasts forever. I can alternate back and forth between my solar, using a little bit of it, but usually relying on this, and it has been so helpful. The other thing that I really like about this particular power system from Vtoman is they have a jumper system. In other words, if my battery on my van ran dead, and it did once, they have a cable, an optional cable that you can buy, and it can be put into here, plugged into here, and then it can charge your vehicle battery. And again, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, that's a really great option, and I love that. So a power system, I think, that's just from my perspective, I think a power station of some sort is really a necessity if you're going to do van life. I'm not going to be getting up in the middle of the night, going out in a location that I'm not familiar with, trying to find a bathroom. It's just not safe, whether you're 70 or 30, particularly for a solo female. So I found this clean waste. Now, I've had this for 5 years, and is it possible to love a toilet? Because if it is, I just love this clean waste. Don't worry, it's all cleaned out. But what I do is I use this plastic bag. I use trash compactor bags. They're much thicker. And then I use these pellets that I get, horse pellets from Tractor Supply. They come in a bag like this. Now that may be a problem for some of you who may not have storage, but I have a container that I put them in, and you might be able to maybe split a bag like this between 2 or 3 people. I just take this, I dump it in here, and then when we're through, after a day or so, we take and tie the bag up, and when I stop for gas, I empty it in the trash can. Now, most of the time, we try only to do number 1 in here and do number 2 when we make stops. But in an emergency, it is available. And I really think having a toilet of some sort or some way to use the bathroom in your van, especially if you're senior and especially if you're a solo female, having some way to go to the bathroom in your van, I believe is an essential in van life. Window covers are essential not only for privacy but for safety. Again, especially as a solo female, you do not want people peeking into your van windows at night, seeing that you're in there alone, or even if you weren't alone, you don't want people peeking in. And when you get dressed in the morning or at night, you just need that privacy. This particular one, I think again, is from Eurocamper. It's made especially for my my windshield. This window cover has kind of a Reflectix material on the outside, and it's has a thick kind of insulating material. So it not only provides privacy, but it also provides really a good level of insulation. Now, I also have 2 that go on the side windows in the front in the cab, and I made some out of Reflectix that can go on the other windows, but also sometimes I just magnet up with magnets. I put up a very, very thick curtain over those windows. But I don't think you should start van life unless you have some form of covering for your window. And if you're boondocking and you're trying to be stealth, you know, that's even an additional reason why you need window coverings. The last thing on my list, which was really truly a game changer and made my experience in my van so much more enjoyable is my refrigerator. Now, you may not need one as big as mine. Mine is a double wide isotherm that has both a refrigerator and a second door that's a freezer. So again, this would be an overkill for some people. But for those of you who've been following me for a while, if you remember, when I first started my channel, I did primarily cooking videos. So I needed a lot of food in my van at all times for my cooking videos. And that's why I needed such a large refrigerator. Also, when I'm traveling, sometimes I'm parked at a slant. So I wanted a refrigerator that could be used even if you're on a slant, and this is a refrigerator that can do that. I tried using a ice chest, and oh my gosh, I was just miserable. I would have to get ice almost every day, and then the ice would melt, my food would get wet. If I had meat in there, the meat, the raw meat, the juices would end up leaking. I just found it was a hot mess, and I needed a refrigerator. If I had to do it all over again, I would get a smaller refrigerator. And now, over the last several years that I've been doing van life, there are so many other options available. Some as low as $120, $130. And I'm sure for Black Friday, there'll be some great sales. But it just was a necessity for me. So those are the things that I need and feel are really necessary in van life. And I'll do a recap quickly. A bed or some way to sleep comfortably, get a good night's sleep. A power station so that you can run anything that you need and be in contact with people and have communication and be able to power your communication sources. A toilet, well, clearly a toilet. A refrigerator and window coverings for your van. If you agree with me, let me know. If you think that I'm full of hot air, well, you may not put it that way, but let me know that you disagree. And let me know what you think is necessary for van life. Anyhow, thank you so much for tuning in, and may your journeys be filled with joy and blessings. Till next time, but don't forget to tune in Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern for Glow Live, and I tell you, you won't be sorry that you did. Till next time, see you later.